Good morning, my lovely little ghosts, and welcome to the Dark Orchard. I'm Laura, and this is a Scream video. As I said in my intro, this is a Scream video. More specifically, today I'm going to be talking about Scream 6, but Scream 6 is out now. So, I'm here to talk a little bit about things we're seeing from the social media accounts, just different things that are hinting towards what to expect from Scream 6. So, from this moment on, there will be spoilers for Scream 1 through Scream 5. Spoiler videos. So let's jump into it. We have a bunch of trailers that have come out. I did really good with Scream 5. I was not spoiled before I saw that film, and I was surprised. So let's talk about the location that Scream is set in, because the location has a lot to do with the rest of this video. Scream 6 is going to be set in New York City. I like this. We've seen very few movies with this concept. Of course, everyone always goes to Jason Takes Manhattan because it's the exact same city. It's New York and New York. It was a horror icon in a big city. I also go to the Lost World Jurassic Park, where we got to see the dinosaurs in San Diego. I think it was San Diego. I'm doing real bad with my words tonight. Yeah, San Diego. That concept hasn't been done a lot, but it has a lot of potential that I think the Scream franchise is going to actually bring to that full potential versus these other films that just kind of had the idea but didn't really follow through with it. Plus, New York is a very modern city, and Ghostface is one of our more modern horror icons. And the one thing about Ghostface that makes the icon so different from, say, The Fisherman in I Know What You Did Last Summer, or one specific being, versus Ghostface, who could be anybody. It's always someone you know, was the tagline for Scream 5. Just endless possibilities with that. And with that being said, I'm going to jump into the posters that have been recently released and talk a little bit about them. So the first poster that we received was this one. It has all the cast members on it and Ghostface in the middle. Of course, the overlay is New York City. My favorite part, of course, is that Kirby is on this poster. And up until this poster was released, I wasn't sure that Kirby was going to be a big part of the movie. But seeing how she's right under Tara, I think she's going to be a pretty big part. I mean, she's contrasted with Gale. Kirby and Gale are two of the legacy survivors versus Sam and Tara at the top that are the new survivors, I guess is how you'd say it. So other than solidifying that Kirby was going to be a large part of the film, this poster didn't really give us much. The same can be said for the Apple poster. It's given Death Note vibes, but it's an apple, the big apple, Scream, New York. It's pretty self-explanatory. I do like that they use the buck knife, and it's a pretty poster, but again, it's giving Death Note. But then we jump into the Fandango poster. So after Fandango, we also get the 3D poster. I believe people that buy their tickets for the premiere on the 9th, but those that get that ticket can see it first in 3D, and also apparently in 4D. It says feel it in 4D, and I don't know exactly what that means. I know what a 4D movie is. I know. It's like they blow air under your seats and stuff like that. I know. I rode the SpongeBob ride at Carowinds when it was owned by Paramount. I know what a 4D movie is. But how Scream 4D? How to Scream? That's my question. That'll be interesting to see people's reactions to that. I'm not sure what theaters are doing it. I don't know much about it at all, but it's been announced, so that's interesting. But back to the 3D, this will be the first time a Scream film will be offered in 3D. And I hope they don't do it cheesy. I hope that it's just more of a VR kind of 3D, not wear the headset or anything, but like just a standard 3D movie that wasn't made for 3D. They just kind of did a 3D overlay. I'm not a fan of 3D movies anyway. They give me a headache. I can't focus on them. I end up looking at like the blurred lines on the side and don't focus on the movie at all when I'm watching a 3D movie. So I will be watching it in standard and enjoying it that way. Another poster we got was this really cool red drippy poster, and I was like, that looks familiar. Like, super familiar. Why does this look so familiar? And I didn't need to dig much further than Kevin Williamson, because it looks exactly like the poster for Sick, which was written by Kevin Williamson and is now available on Peacock. If you have not seen this movie, I suggest you watch it. It is a horror movie set in the pandemic. It's good. It's Kevin Williamson good. So, definitely give that a watch too. But on the flip side of that, they paid homage to that movie with this poster. This really cool Ghostface poster that has, where this one has the cabin in it, the Ghostface poster has New York. And this, of course, is the Dolby poster. Then, my favorite poster so far. Absolute favorite. The Guess Who poster. This is so perfectly Scream. Because the whole point of a Scream film is to play Guess Who. It's to be like, who's the killer? I love it. As a kid, I loved playing Guess Who. It was my favorite game. I would play with my grandma a lot, and we would like clip pictures out of magazines and put them in the little slots, and then it would be like the Spice Girls all individually put in there, and sometimes cartoon characters, like anything that we could find to make the game more interesting and like broaden the scope of who it could be behind the little thing. So this made me really happy to see. I love it. I love that the like little flip slots have each of the characters on them. They're all on here, and I love it. I love it so much. I'm gonna make this next poster big across the screen right here, because there are little details that I want you to see big. I want you to see like the actual detail. Okay, so first off, we're gonna look at this mask. This is the new Ghostface mask for this specific Scream movie. As you can see, it's got like the cracks and stuff. This is of course a digital painted version, but you can still see like the details in it. The theory is that this is an original mask worn by either Billy or Stu. I'll get to my theory on that in a minute, so stick a pin in it. This is rumored to be one of those masks that's being worn by the new killer. This poster is really cute to look at. There's a lot of hidden ghost faces, so take the time to actually look at it. But if you look up here in the upper corner, it says Stab the Musical. Let me take this off the screen for just a second while we talk about that. So Stab is the in-universe movie version of the events that happened in the first movie, and then of course movies to follow. The Scream movies are the Stab movies in universe. So all of the true crime events got turned into a fictional film based on true stories. We learn in ScreamVI that those got derailed over time and started not being based on the true events anymore. Stab the Musical, it gives me a happy wiggle, because I have been talking about Spencer Charnas partnering with Kevin Williamson to write Scream the Musical forever. Feels like forever. Like, that is a dream of a dream for Spencer Charnas to be able to fully write a Scream musical. And I almost feel like this poster is making fun of me. But we had Heathers. I've said this before. We had Heathers the musical. Beetlejuice is one of the hottest musicals right now. Like, it's currently touring. It's coming to Greensboro. Like, people want this. Sweeney Todd. I mean, look how popular Sweeney Todd is. Bring us Scream the Musical, written by Spencer Charnas. I'm just saying. I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one that would fly to New York just to see Scream the musical on Broadway. I cannot be the only one. But anyway, it feels like the poster is making fun of me because I constantly talk about Scream the Musical by Spencer Charnas. But the fact that there is going to be a Stab the Musical in-universe is fun. It's going to mean that people will be wearing the Ghostface costume for Halloween, and it will have brought back the hype of Stab. Whereas the Stab films were kind of declining, and that was like one of the main motives for ScreamVI. This film is bringing in Stab the Musical and reviving the original, reviving the love for Stab in a new way, and thus bringing the Ghostface mask back into prevalence and back into the public eye, and of course probably back to that subway where somebody randomly attacks Mindy. I think that's going to be a red herring scene. I think that's going to be just somebody joking around wearing that mask. They've recognized her from a news report or something, and they're playing with her, just like in Scream 1 when the people are running down the hallway in the Scream masks. I think that's what that scene's going to be. I could be totally wrong. I could be totally wrong about all of this, but that's what I think is going to happen. So, let's go back to the poster. Underneath we have the Every Day's a Good Morning with Gail Weathers. So, underneath that, we have a news report that I'll get to in a second. But beside of that, we have the university that they're all going to, that's advertised there. And then the New York New Rules, which is one of the taglines for this movie. Another advertisement for Stab the Musical. Now, let's look at those news reports, because there's actually a news report above the Stab the Musical and then below it as well, and they both say the same thing. It basically says that the Mackenzie family has been murdered in a string of Stab-esque murders. So if you're a Scream fan, Mackenzie should sound kind of important. It should sound like something that's in the back of your mind. Why? Because the Mackenzies are who Casey's mom was going to go get. When Casey's dad grabs Casey's mom, he says, "Go to the Mackenzies." It's the only time that name is really prevalent until Scream 5. And in Scream 5, we get the character of Liv Mackenzie. Now, it wasn't confirmed whether she is the daughter of the Mackenzies or if it's just a coincidence. Here's where I'm going to plop in one of the theories. Samara Weaving, I think, will be our first kill. I think she is the opening kill, and unlike Scream 5, it will actually be a kill. We're going to be Drew Barrymore. We're expecting Samara Weaving to have a bigger part, and because we're expecting it, I don't think it'll happen. I think she's going to be a one and done, opening scene, not on set a lot, because she's not in the movie a lot. Okay, I'm gonna dive right in. I'm gonna jump into the theory, because if I don't, I'm gonna lose my place and I won't remember to come back to it. Okay, so the Mackenzie family. It says Mackenzie family. So we already know Liv. The theory. I'm gonna dive even deeper in just a minute. So let's not hold our breath too much right now. But I think that the killer is going to be tying up all the loose ends from all of the films, if that makes sense. Actually, let's swim back to the surface. I want to go to the next slide first and mention this next thing first. So let me make sure that we're done with the musical poster. Yeah, that's the end of it. So the other poster we got was a subway map poster. This one I'm going to make big too, because there are some details. Doop, boop, boop, boop. Okay, so it's a little hard to see with it all blown up like this, because it's not the best quality, but all of these lines seem to... Let me move it as I talk. All of these lines seem to loop around and somehow lead back to Sam. And each of the lines are the deaths in the Scream franchises. The thing that's kind of hard to see, and I wish I had like a little pointer to point to things, but the red track, you see Billy, and then you see Stu. There's something odd about Stu's. Stu's looks red, like there's a definite difference in color. And you can definitely look this up on Twitter. It's better quality if you look up their tweet. But Stu's is not the same color as the rest of them. The little dot beside Stu's name is red. The only other on this whole chart, the only other dot that is red is on the orange track, and it's Miss Kirby Reed. The difference is that Kirby's circle has an X and it says closed, whereas Stu's is just red. And again, the line goes from Sam to Billy to Stu. This also confirms that Liv's last name was McKenzie. If you look on the blue track, it says Liv McKenzie. Why is Stu's dot red? Some people would say it's because Stu didn't die when he was stabbed multiple times and then smashed in the head with a TV. While that's possible, because anything's possible in a horror movie, I would go as far as to say this. We're going to pull the pins that we put in because we're revisiting the theory. I think the killer is focusing on Stu. And let me elaborate by showing you the shrine. This is the shrine that we see in the trailer for Scream 6. So we see a lot, and I do mean a lot, of references in this picture. We see Tatum's outfit, her whole outfit, the yellow short sleeve turtleneck, and the amazing spiral skirt, which I actually, side note, I know who made that exact skirt, and I'm going to link them down below in this video because amazing. The production team for Scream 6 bought this skirt from this specific person. So they have a Tatum replica skirt. It's a perfect replica and it comes in all sizes. Back to the shrine. You see Tatum's outfit, you see bloody cop uniforms, you see not only Steve's coat, but the duct tape used to duct tape his mouth shut on the patio that night. You see Kenny the cameraman's hat, and it's displayed backwards the way that he wore it. You see the play props from Sydney's play. Not all in this picture, by the way. There's some other pictures, but there's also the star contraption that Sydney's boyfriend was killed on. You see Jill's plaid shirt. Even Olivia's shirt from that brutal death in Scream 4. The suit that Billy's mom wore. Stu's robe and the TV that fell on him. And that's pretty close to the Ghostface costumes. Somehow, there's in this like glass cabinet over to the side of the screen next to Jill's costume, there's a half-burnt fax machine from Scream 3. Like, how did they even get that? Also, Billy's shirt with the blood/corn syrup stains. And there are 9 Ghostface robes on stage. But before that, you also can see some of Gail's books, Stab memorabilia, probably from the filming of that Stab movie from 3. And then there's also some sketches, like sketches of Kirby, and there's just like this big true crime theme. And then you also have all 9 Ghostface robes. Billy's is the one in the middle, and you know this from a different angle in the trailer that actually shows the placard that says Billy on it. This is where my theory kind of doesn't make sense, because in my theory, Stu's would be in the middle, but at the same time, I think maybe they're attributing it all to Billy. Honestly, I wish Roman's was in the middle, because if we take into consideration that he was supposed to be behind the whole Billy Stu thing, he should be in the middle because he was supposed to be the puppeteer behind those killings too. So like canonically, starts with a C but it's not canonically, what word am I thinking of? So for continuity purposes, I think that Roman's should be in the middle, but as far as the Sam storyline, it makes sense for Billy's to be in the middle, so I guess that's why Billy's is in the middle. But my theory still stands that I think it's going to be a true crime enthusiast that is not necessarily obsessed with Billy and Stu, but more just obsessed with Stu. And they probably have this weird twisted narrative on Stu's involvement. I think that would be just like the perfect stab at true crime fanatics in the way that we try to write our own narrative about something. It also seems like it's going to be a very blatant commentary on the like true crime things that are happening now, as far as like the Dahmer story, where there are families of victims still out there that can be immediately affected by that. I think this is going to be just like a commentary on that and how the stab victims are still around. Not just Sydney and Gail, but all of the new ones as well. And even Kirby. Stab being turned into a fun musical while literal victims of the ghost face are walking around the same city. Let's talk about Kirby. Kirby was one of my favorite characters. Scream 4 is my second favorite Scream movie. I don't think I've ever said that out loud before, but Scream 4 is actually my second favorite Scream movie. And Kirby was just so fun in Scream 4. She was just like the most relatable character, and I loved her. So, of course, it was devastating when we thought she was killed, and amazing in Scream 5 when our suspicions were finally brought to justice. And during that Dead Meat cameo, we got to see a sidebar interview with Kirby. I gestured so hard, I unsnapped my bracelet. That's how into this video I am. Okay, so Kirby is alive and is going to be playing an FBI agent. She specifically says, I have been investigating the Ghostface attacks, which brings me back to the musical is going to bring a Ghostface mask back into the public. I think that she's saying, I've been investigating the Ghostface attacks, and some of them seem to be related to the Woodsboro attacks, the attacks on our main characters. I don't think all of the Ghostface attacks are going to be just our Ghostface or Ghostfaces. I think people are going to use the fact that Stab the musical is out and the Ghostface costume is now a costume for the musical as a way to hide behind something. I think it's going to be the face of petty crime in this movie. Like randomness, or at least at the beginning of this film. Our Ghostface, because they have the mask, and I think that mask is going to be Stu's mask. I didn't say that before, but I do. I think people are thinking it's going to be Billy's mask, but I think it's going to be Stu's. Because, again, I think our killer is going to be a true crime fanatic, and because they don't know as much about Stu that they knew about Billy, I think it's going to be focused on Stu. And we did have the last movie focus a lot on Billy, so I think this movie is for Stu. I think this is going to pay homage to Stu Macher. The little details are just kind of like building upon that. Because, just a little side street here, I love that Matthew Lillard has come back, even though he hasn't. Like the little cameo in Scream 2 that we all know about, where he's walking in the background because he was there to visit Neve Campbell. We also got him as the voice of the Ghostface in the Stab trailer, where he was using the flamethrower, so he was the voice of the Chrome Ghostface. That was awesome. Drew Barrymore was also the voice of the principal in Stab 5. In Scream 5. I'm mixing up my lore here. As much as people wanted Matthew Lillard back, just as many people wanted Kirby to be alive. So my final theory, and then I'll be done. One of our Ghostfaces is going to be a true crime junkie that is putting a major focus on Stu. We were never introduced to Stu's sister, who was the mother of Vince. We're never introduced to her. Because I think there may be a connection to Stu here, I think maybe the mother might have something to do with it. Like, not quite Debbie Salt level, but definitely something there. I don't think she's pulling any strings. I don't think that she's like Debbie level, but perhaps there's something there. Perhaps the killers had communication with her. There's a revenge aspect because her brother and son were both killed in Ghostface manners. Like, totally different situations, but still a connection. But that is one character that I'd like to know more about. We also have the mystery of Sam and Tara's mother and Tara's father. So we have a few, like, unsung characters that could be brought to the film in Scream 6. At least elaborated on more. I don't think they've, like, cast someone to play these characters, but I think just, like, there's gonna be a mentioning. That being said, I'm really excited to see this Scream. It will be our first Scream movie without Sidney Prescott, but the torch has been handed off, and Ghostface changes with every movie. Ghostface, the costume, is what keeps all the movies cohesive. And I feel like with this movie, it's gonna stay cohesive because of the costume. I want to see Ghostface hold his own. I want to see a film that plays itself like a normal Scream film and focuses on Ghostface rather than the legacies. And I think it can be done. That being said, there's also an announcement that Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt will be returning for another I Know What You Did Last Summer film. And I'll leave you with that. So, for the comments down below, tell me what your theories are. And if you don't talk to me about that, tell me who you're the most excited for in this film. And if you don't talk to me about that, just talk to me about Scream, because I'd love for you to talk to me down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you come around again soon. Say bye. Bye. What's your favorite scary movie?